What's good in the hood, YouTube? This is Crazy Samurai 71 here, bringing you another video. So today I wanted to do a video on Power Rangers Dino Charge, episode 14 now. If you don't know already, 14 episodes, that means we're already about 2/3 into the show. It's pretty good. I will tell you this much, this was an interesting episode. This is, the name of the episode is called True Black. If you haven't already guessed, this episode does focus on black significantly. So the episode starts off with one of the guards trying to take out another villain from the different from the jail cells that are in Sledge's ship. The villain this time is known as Gold Digger. Gold Digger, for those that are curious, is this big monster that basically has like I guess you could say it's like a treasure chest body and a crown as a head. Kind of different. And what he does right after he gets out is he basically gives the guard a coin, which he says heads or tails, and then he guesses, and then he guesses wrong, and as a result, it explodes in his face and destroys the guard. So at that point, we know who our villain is for this episode, and we then go down to Earth, where we see our Rangers training and practicing their skills, and in particular, the focus here is obviously our Black Ranger, who is testing out a new energem. Well, not a new energem. A new charger. This charger is known as the Dino Armor X Charger. You may wonder, why is it called X? It's because what is the shape of a drill usually? It's like an X. So the Dino Armor X Charger allows him to drill through walls and stone slabs, or stone in general, just stone, wood, things like that. He can drill right through it. So he starts to use it. He uses his spiral attacks and stuff, and he's able to go right through a stone wall. So that shows its power. It also gives him a unique look, and basically it's kind of like a version of some sort of like crocodile-based animal that you could probably connect it to. If you're curious about what kind of animal is that supposed to relate to, it's supposedly supposed to be some sort of crocodile or something of that line of animal. So interesting. And so then after that, they try to use it and they see that it works. It's all good, and then they go back to the cafe that they work at. So once there at the restaurant, they're trying to make food and all that stuff, and Chase isn't around, and there's music that's playing in the background, which when Chase gets in there, he hears it, and he knows the band, he knows the group, and he thinks of them as this minor, like, amateur group that, it's not that great. And they're called NZ Boys, which is a boys band for obviously girls like it. And so knowing that obviously the one girl in the Ranger group is Shelby, he immediately begins to assume that maybe the reason why it's on is because maybe she likes it. And he's like, you really like these guys? Come on, Shelby, what's with you? And so then at that point, he kind of hurts her feelings and makes her feel bad and all that. And she ends up trying to get some tickets, which don't work out for her, which disappoints her, and him saying that obviously disappoints her a lot. Eventually, though, they get a distress call saying that there's a monster attack, as you may have guessed. And at that point, they are ready to head out. The thing is that Ivan, being our knight, which, he's had his fair share moments where he has to be a guy of chivalry, there are these women that need food, that are customers at the restaurant, and they want food and other things as well that they hadn't gotten yet. And so Ivan, being that guy that has that aspect of chivalry in him since he is a knight, he realizes he has to stay and help out because that's what he just has to do. So he doesn't immediately come with the Rangers. So then at that point, the Rangers decide to go and check and see what the signal was. Coda, being the person who typically, is not necessarily the smartest one ever, decides to looks down at the ground, sees some coins on the ground. So he starts to pick them up one after another, follows this path, and then he puts out this whole entire handful of coins. And he's like, "Oh, look, they're so shiny and they're glowing." At that point, the Rangers realize, shiny, glowing, this is kind of suspicious. So then at that point, they knock the coins out of Coda's hands, and then the coins explode in the air. Then following this, we see Gold Digger, Wrench, Poisandra, and Curio come out of nowhere. Obviously, they were hiding. So then at that point, the Rangers decide to fight Gold Digger, and Wrench, seeing as how the previous episode, he seemed to be one that wanted to really take up the lead of being in charge of all the fights and all that, he decides to get a little bit more involved and decides to step into Gold Digger's battle and fight alongside him. So that battle begins to occur between the Rangers and Wrench and Gold Digger. The thing though is that eventually we find out that Gold Digger uses these stone slabs that he puts out in front of him. So when he uses them, they're very hard, so it's not so easy. So at that point, Shelby decides to try and use the Dino Steel mode to see if she can break through it, seeing as to how it's a powered up form of the Rangers. When she does it, it doesn't do enough to actually destroy the stone slab. So thinking then, logically, Chase realizes maybe the Dino Armor X Charger can do it. So when that happens, he tries to use it, seeing how that would make the logical sense. But seeing that doesn't work out, at that point, somehow, Gold Digger manages to summon stone slabs from the sky that are massive, and begins to toss them down upon our three of our Rangers. Which ones? Shelby, Ivan, and Tyler, and bring them super low down into the earth. At that point, they begin to lose oxygen, and they don't have much to support them, seeing as to how they don't have the X Charger themselves, and they can't even use it because, for some reason, specifically, only the Black Rangers, Black Energem, has the power, and he himself only has the power to do it. But for some reason, he just can't use it at this time. So then, realizing that this isn't working out, realizing that he can't use it, they go back to the base, and they think maybe we can try it out. We're not sure, but we can try out our Blue Ranger or our Green Ranger to see if they can do it, if they can use the X Charger. At the same time, Keeper mentions the fact that maybe there's something that has disturbed your powers that has prevented you from using it. And Chase begins to feel really bad, thinking, what could I have done that is preventing me from doing this at this point? So he begins to contemplate, like, what bad thing could I have done? What could have disrupted my powers? Why am I not able to do everything I was once able to perform? So he begins to question himself and think back to everything that recently had happened to him between when he was able to use it and at that time. So then at that point they decide, okay, well, we have to go figure out what we're doing, and suddenly they get messages from the Dinocom basically saying that the Rangers that are underground are running out of air, and their oxygen levels are critical. So seeing as to how they don't want them to die, obviously, they immediately say, okay, we have to go and figure out what's going on. So at that point, the three Rangers that are not trapped decide to go back and see if they can do something about it. And Chase brings up the idea that he will cover the Chase will cover Coda and Riley while they try the X Charger. So Chase begins to fight Gold Digger and Wrench, while in the meantime Coda and Riley begin to use it. The thing is that, like Chase, it doesn't work. So at that point, Chase realizes it doesn't work for them. What did I do wrong? So then he gets another message from his Dinocom from Shelby, and Shelby's like, we're really losing air. you need to do something quickly. And Chase begins to think, wait a second. And then he just remembers that he had said something hurtful to Shelby about that boy band that she likes. So at that point, he begins to apologize to her and say, "I'm sorry that I said all those mean things about that group that you like. I'm sorry that I was being mean to you. I really did not mean to act that way." And he begins to apologize and everything, and she forgives him a little bit, or she tries to, and then she passes out with the other Rangers as well that are underground. At that point, Chase tries to use the X-Charger. And this time, it works. When he uses it this time, he manages to dig right through to through the stone slabs and save the Rangers from below. And at that point, Shelby legitimately thanks Chase for rescuing her, and just in general forgives him for what he said before about the boy band. And then at that point, the Rangers that aren't morphed, which Chase decides to unmorph at that time, all 4 of those Rangers decide to morph. And this time when they morph, Chase, not only does he morph, but he morphs with the X-Charger attached. So it's sort of like he automatically has the X-Charger in use. Then they do their morphing sequence where they list off their names and what dinosaur they're based off of or whatever, like they always do, and they've started doing ever since our Gold Ranger has come. And then they begin to fight the Vivixes and Gold Digger and Wrench. I know it's a lot. So then, following all of that, we then get to see Chase toy around with Wrench, and Chase decides to use the X-Charger to use a spiral attack to spin Wrench and toss him up into the air, resulting in him flying a huge distance away, and that ends his time in that battle. So then, following this, Tyler tries to fight Gold Digger, but it doesn't work out so well. Oh, and I just remembered something about a while back when Ivan came in, because you may be wondering, where did Ivan go? Why was Ivan there? Well, one thing that happened was that you may remember that I mentioned that he ended up trying to help those girls with some food or whatever. Well, he gets his first tip, which was $1, and eventually he saves Tyler earlier on. I know I just jumped back. The moment I forgot, it was just kind of a funny moment. Too late now. Anyway, back to where we were. We find out that we then see Chase using his X-Charger on the stone slabs that, Gold Digger has, which he manages to destroy and attack Gold Digger a little bit. But then he realizes that Gold Digger is going to summon more stone slabs and multiply them like he did before. So in order to prevent him from having enough time to do that, Chase suggests to Tyler to use the Dino Spike while he uses the X-Charger to destroy Gold Digger, which works pretty well because he uses the X-Charger first, destroying the stone slab, so he has no protection, and then the Dino Spike goes right through Gold Digger, which works out really well. And in the end, manages to let them destroy Gold Digger. So then at that point, you may think to yourself, what's the logical step? Obviously, then Sledge decides to use the magna beams to make Gold Digger big. And seeing as to how the stone slabs are a pretty significant point of what he is, he decides to summon them and make them fall on the Dino Charge Megazord, as well as on the Terrazord. So at that point, the Terrazord almost gets crushed, and so does the Dino Charge Megazord, until eventually somehow the Terrazord manages to rescue the Dino Charge Megazord and saves it from being destroyed. So then at that point, they decide to combine the Terrazord and the Dino Charge Megazord to create the Tri-Stego Terra formation, which they used in the previous episode to defeat Gold Digger. and it works out very well. One thing that's interesting to note is that this time, unlike the last one where we only had our gold and our red ranger in the cockpit, all 6 rangers were in the cockpit. And not only that, but they all were in Dino drive mode. So that's the first time we've ever seen all 6 rangers in one cockpit in Dino drive mode, and it's cool. It's very, very cool, and it's a pretty quick battle following that, and they managed to win it and destroy Gold Digger. So then following this, we see what happens up in space with Wrench, which obviously Wrench has been trying to get a little bit more involved since, if you haven't already guessed it, Fury's been gone now. Because in the Sentai, he basically was gone until like the very end of Kyoroger. Which is the Japanese equivalent of Dino Charge if you don't know. So, anyway, because of this, since Wrench is trying to take up the lead for where Fury left off, Sledge begins to start getting really annoyed at Wrench, and Sledge brings up the idea that if you fail me one more time, I'm going to put you in confinement in this like maximum security jail for this creature that they have in there. And so at that point, Wrench begins to whimper and like go in fear of like, I don't want that at all, because you see like this monster with tentacles come out and try to grab Wrench, and Wrench is like, no, I do not want this. So at that point, we see Sledge laughing with Poisandra, and then back on Earth, we see the Rangers trying to dial in to win some tickets to go see the concert, which supposedly they were out of tickets, but they have some VIP backstage tickets or something like that you could win by calling in. So at that point, each of the Rangers that are there, except for Chase, decides to call in to win tickets. The thing is, those 5 Rangers don't get them. So then, on the radio, they begin to hear the announcer say, "Congratulations, we got a winner!" And then they say, "I would like to know your name and the group of and I would like to know your name so that your friends can go with you or whatever, and just so that I know who you are, so that when you're there, we can identify you." And then he says Chase. So at that point, we realize, oh, that's where Chase has been, and I immediately could have guessed that was their whole entire implication, that they were intentionally leaving him out of the room because they wanted to surprise Shelby and trying to be smart and do something that a lot of shows have done before. But it's still cool. So at that point, Chase comes in while he's speaking to the guy on the radio, and at that point, everyone gets really happy and thanks Chase, and Kendall brings up the idea that the Rangers can close up early and they can go see the concert, and everyone is happy. Chase and Shelby become very nice to each other, and just in general, no hard feelings are felt by either of them or any of the Rangers, and everything is good and peaceful. So that's about it. Personally, I thought this episode was good. Nothing too unique. Sure, the X-Charge was introduced. That is significant, and I definitely remember that in the show, in the Japanese show. But, it's not a new Zord. It's not a new character. Obviously, as I mentioned before, clearly, since this is True Black, the next episode is supposed to be when we'll get our Graphite Ranger. If you're curious, yes. So next episode, Graphite Ranger should come, which would be interesting. It's good timing, it's enough episodes in that we can say that, and it should be nice, and hopefully they'll make a big effort with him to really show him off well and really display his powers. And I just want to see him because, it was great seeing how they introduced the Gold Ranger, and it'd be nice to see how they can introduce the Graphite Ranger appropriately and, just build upon the character list and develop them out a lot more and show all they can to the best of their abilities and do everything in their power to make it really, really cool to watch these characters and see what they can accomplish. So I personally like this episode. I know it wasn't the best ever, but I think that it's a good episode for what it is. It's the 14th episode now, so we're getting closer and closer to finally getting the 8 Rangers we'll get for this season, and next season we'll get the 2 others plus some other awesome stuff, and just it's all really exciting, and I'm just looking forward to it all. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please remember to like, comment, subscribe. Remember to answer the question time at the bottom in the comments, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Remember to also check out the channel and do all that other awesome stuff, and I'll see you guys next time. So bye bye guys.